they didn't relate to it in any way, so they would just sit in the car and just have a bit of a laugh or whatever with each other. But I had to fish. I'm going to actually dedicate a one of these two fishing experiences, and it's not as boring, I promise you, as what it sounds. Yeah, I was thinking too about the early days before the Rosetta. Something actually popped up into my head because when you forge we alliances with people back in the day, you don't really realize and look back on them, and sort of say to yourself, that was a very pivotal moment in life that I should have really, grasped with both hands, and thought about and given more credit to at the time, but you couldn't back then. Now this was 1984, I think it was, and I was in a shanty, and we were playing in the Labour Club, and I didn't really have that much money. In fact, I didn't have any. So I mean, I was married to Margaret. Lindsay was like 6 months old or something. It was like yeah, she was born in September. This was like the like December, so it was Christmas time. And poor wee Margaret, she couldn't go to the gig, but it was a Christmas Eve gig. And we were a shanty. We were playing in the Labour Club, and we were going to be getting, I don't know, like 150 quid or something, but we weren't going to be getting this until the end of the night. So at the end of the night at Christmas Eve, it was then too late, to go to get a present for your wife. you know, and I didn't have the money to spare to buy Margaret a present up to that point. Um, and I was looking forward then to getting paid at the end of the night, and then going to a petrol station and buying her a set of windscreen wipers or something. No, I wouldn't have done that. But at least I would have still been able to get her something, you know. And I always remember watching an episode of Friends, and they're I think they actually do. Joey and Chandler buy people like cans of soda and windscreen wipers and air fresheners or whatever for Christmas, because it's the only place that they can find, on Christmas Eve open. But we were setting up, and our drummer Stevie Shanks, his brother Keith Shanks, was a lighting engineer, and he was the Ashanti lighting engineer. Like back then in those days, he was like we tea leaf, we called him. Not that he was a thief; it was just that it rhymed with Keith. Anyway, like, I mean, Keith at the time was like, he was just a kid, to me, I was like this grown up man who had just had a a baby, and I was sort of supposed to be like this responsible parent and stuff. But he saw that I was a bit down the dumps, and he says, "What's wrong?" And I went, "No way it is, Keith. No dough, and it's Christmas Eve. We're getting paid. I'm gonna have money, but it's gonna be too late, to actually get Margaret, something of any substance." And I couldn't get out, over the last few days, because I didn't have the money then either, because it was hard, with a wee one and stuff back then. And he went, "Fucking hell, Harv." Okay, and that was fine. So off he went anyway, and I mean, seriously, Keith now, and well, up until the last time that I was speaking to him, was a really, really successful lighting engineer, with state of the art equipment, computer program lighting from a tablet sort of thing and all that. But back then, whenever in our early days, Keith's lighting equipment was a series of 8 paint cans, like the 5 liter paint cans or whatever, painted black with tin foil put on the inside, and a light bulb, some red gel, green gel, on each on the front of them, and then the only thing that was actually bought from a shop, apart from the bulbs and the like the electric sort of thing, was then a lighting controller sort of thing, and he was brilliant, everything, and because Keith used to come and set the lights up whenever we were rehearsing in Ballyclare. So he knew all the points, all the smashing times, whenever there should be a big flash or darkness or fast lights or slow lights or whatever. Because he was there every time we rehearsed. Keith was there, so he knew this. He knew our songs back to front. So we did the gig anyway. Christmas Eve, end of the night, and it wasn't a really late one, so I think it was on from 8 to 10, but it was still, that was it. Shops closed at 9. I couldn't go anywhere, so I was sort of resigned to the fact that I had to go back home and see. Now I had bought Lindsay a wee white dress. That was sorted out, and of course Margaret had organised a whole lot of things for her as well. But she was only a wee baby, but Margaret obviously wasn't. So waking up on Christmas morning with nothing. Anyway, end of the night, we're packing up, and then Keith came over and he shook my hand and he said, "Here," and I went, "What's that?" And he gave me a wee box, and in the box was a beautiful wee silver bracelet that he had left the gig while we were singing. Just left the lights on automatic. Went round to the jewellery store and went in with whatever money that he had and bought a bracelet. Put it in got it put into a little presentation box, wrapped and everything, and brought it to me so that I would have something to give to Margaret, on Christmas morning. And I mean, that wee guy saved my life. You know what I mean? When you think about it, alright, it wasn't like not saving life, as far as life or death sort of things concerned, but one gesture like that turned what could have been a very disappointing circumstance into a very joyful one, because whenever we woke up, because Margaret knew that I didn't have any money, she wasn't expecting anything, God love her, but whenever we woke up and then we went downstairs and then we opened up, because we had to open up the wee things for Lindsay and stuff, and then she gave me my presents and stuff, and then she wasn't expecting anything back, and I gave her the wee package, and she opened it up, and it was a beautiful wee silver bracelet, and she put it on and she went. Now the thing about it is that, and this is the where I'm going with this, is that this is why these vlogs are so important, because this is 36 years later, 37 years later, and Margaret has probably been under the impression all those years, if she even remembers, really, to tell you the truth, me giving her the bracelet, that it came from me. And it did, obviously I was the one that gave it to her, but I was only able to give it to her because of a gesture that a really nice guy had shown towards me. And Keith didn't owe me anything, and it wasn't even as if, he and I went out and had beers and whatever. I was just the singer in his brother's band, and he knew that was important, to his brother. So whenever he found out that I had a little issue, he knew that if